Jaylo,
Mm-hmm.
it has been one hell of a week.
Oh, I guess. Oh, is it because of the heat wave?
And what happened to me on Sunday?
Oh, yeah. That's scary.
Should I talk about that first?
Yes.
Okay. So we do our thing and had a fun time. It's cold in your apartment because of the heat wave. We were a little bit over-prepared, but that's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
We go downstairs and we're waiting in your lobby for the lift to pick me up because it was, I think, 112 on Sunday.
It was crazy hot.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go out there either.
So you're like, I'm going to wait in here. So I step out. I'm outside for like a second and everything around me goes completely pitch black.
Wow.
For like maybe 15 to 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Then my vision comes back. There's a car across the street and they say, "Are you Rick?" So I go over there, white car, hop in the car. It's dark in there and everything goes pitch black again.
Did you tell the driver?
No.
Okay.
Because it wasn't relevant. All he was going to do was freak out. And, I have blindness training.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know if it was a thing with the heat or what. So he's driving back to my place. I'm concerned though.
Yeah.
But also,
You knew what to do.
I didn't know what to do, but I knew that if for whatever reason I was going totally blind,
Yes.
I know a lot of people in the community.
Yes, you.
Right.
Yeah. You have connections. Yeah.
Yeah. Drops me off at my place, get out, because I am a competent cane user,
Mm-hmm.
found my door,
Mm-hmm.
got inside,
Yes.
still walked up the steps. I'm not going to take the elevator just because I can't see anything.
Right. Exactly.
Get to my floor, see that there's some notice on my door. So I'm a little bit concerned about that because how am I going to check that because I can't see anything?
Right.
And now I got to go to a doctor because I'm totally blind.
Mm-hmm.
I get inside and I'm still freaking out. Usually when I come home from your place, the most I'll do is use the bathroom and then call you.
Uh-huh.
That wasn't the case this time.
Yeah.
Get inside and I still can't see anything, but like a minute later, I start to see something. So I turn the light on in my kitchen and I can vaguely see the light. So I'm a little bit freaked out because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm not calling you because I don't want you to freak out
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. I turn on all the lights in my apartment. Now this is in the afternoon, so it's already pretty bright.
It's already bright, yeah.
Yeah. And I walk around and I start to notice shapes a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I turn on my fan, even though my apartment was actually not bad.
Fairly cool.
Yeah, on 112 degree day.
Wow. Yeah.
I take the notice.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I have my fan on, I take the notice
Mm-hmm.
and I fan the area of my eyes.
Yes.
And then slowly things are starting to get back into focus. Sit down next to the fan, close my eyes, open them. And within 30 minutes, my vision is pretty much back to normal.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's around the time I called you. And I told you, hey, I had this weird experience. I'm probably going to have to see a doctor. Oh, before I called you, I Googled sudden heat blindness to see what came up.
Mm-hmm.
And I read something that was not good.
I heard something that it happens to people that already have MS, but
yeah, that's what I read.
Not a sign that.
But it's a sign that you're in the beginning stages of MS.
That may not be true for you.
Well, it may not, but here's some stuff that may collaborate that. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I talk to you, tell you what happened, and it's freaky, and I say, all right, I don't like doctors, but I probably got to see one.
Mm-hmm.
My vision is a little bit blurry that night,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also dizzy.
Uh-oh.
Which isn't a good thing.
No.
Okay. Next morning I wake up, and I don't see anything. But it only lasts for like a minute, and then everything's
fine, yeah.
And that was the last time I didn't see anything.
Okay.
Okay. But that's not the last time I had some weird issues. So I've been kind of dizzy this week.
Oh.
And last night, I don't know if I told you this, but
I don't think you did.
Well, you're going to hear it now.
Uh-oh.
Nothing with the vision, which is good. But, so I showed some friends the movie Rear Window, and I did it virtually.
Yes.
about 10 minutes before the movie's supposed to start, I get this massive headache.
Oh, no.
Like killer.
Uh-oh.
And I rarely will take something like ibuprofen.
Yeah.
But I needed it.
Yeah.
Like, I really need it. So I have this massive headache, and I'm super dizzy.
Yeah.
I take it, start the movie, and slowly the headache goes away. And it hasn't come back since.
Okay.
And I'm not as dizzy now, but I've been kind of dizzy throughout the week. So,
how's your vision right now?
Oh, my vision's fine now. It's been fine since Monday morning. There was the Sunday night thing and then the Monday morning thing. And then it's been, pretty good since then.
Uh-oh.
And I don't think that there's any vision loss.
Oh, good.
But I after reading that thing about MS, I'm a little bit concerned. So next week, because I'm lazy and I should have done it this week, I'm going to schedule a doctor's appointment.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could just be too, because a lot of people have physiological reactions to heat. Like sometimes people feel exhausted. Like I've had heat exhaustion before, and people have gone through heat stroke, and that's why it's, even younger people like us, we shouldn't be out there in extreme heat anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're not that old, it's so dangerous. It's very, very dangerous.
And it's also, I went from maybe 60 degrees to 112 degrees in literally a second.
Yeah. And
right.
I was worried because I'm like, I know it's going to smack me in the face when I get out of the building. And
well, my case, it really smacked me in the face.
It really did smack you in the face and in the head.
Yeah.
But as far as your head is concerned, you're not feeling any dizzier right now?
I'm not feeling any dizzier, but I feel more dizzy than I did on Sunday when we were hanging out. Like since I left your apartment.
Are you feeling dizzy today?
Not as dizzy as I was, but I still feel a little bit dizzy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Since I left your apartment, I felt pretty dizzy. It's calmed down, but it's still there, and the headaches have been off and on. So I am a little bit concerned. Because MS does not sound like fun.
No, and I know people that have struggled with MS, and it's debilitating. Yeah. So I think the quicker you see an eye doctor, the quicker you can find out.
Well, I have to see an eye doctor, but I might have to see like a general doctor too, because it's if it was the eye thing, that's concerning enough.
Yeah, get a blood test. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I've walked around without any vision before. I did do blindness training where they put sleep shades on you.
Yes.
That knock out all of your vision.
Yes.
And with a cane, I can handle it.
Right, because you can feel it.
But I was still dizzy. Right? So, yes, the eye thing is a major concern, and I don't necessarily know that it stops there.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, as long as you're taking care of it now, and you're not, waiting, a year later to figure that out, because that would scare me too. Yeah,
I would, because I'm not a doctor fan, as you know.
No, and I don't like it either. But if you, it could be that you're just healthy and you just had a reaction to the extreme heat.
Yeah, and I have a friend who says, listen. I have a really good friend who says, listen, you got to go to the doctor more. And now I'm going to start to listen to her on that.
Yeah, Dad. This person sounds like a wise person.
Yeah, but they voted for Obama. No. I love this person.
But I'm pumped.
No, but what if it turns out that I have MS, babes? You're not going to dump me, are you?
Of course not.
Okay.
I highly doubt that you would. I mean, I don't know if you're... I would imagine that MS is like a possibly a genetic thing, right? Well,
to the best of my knowledge, they actually don't know what causes it.
Wow.
Now, I'm not a medical expert, but that's what I've heard from people. Okay. That's kind of like a random thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm hoping if that, if you do have a concern, that if you feel so concerned about it, there might be some preventive things you can do.
Yeah, it doesn't end well for people with MS, though.
No, it's very debilitating.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where I didn't know this person very well, but I knew that she had MS. And, there are times where she's got to have people help her with things because just physical things are just awful to handle.
Yeah. So if I do have it, at some point you're going to have to put me down.
Oh.
I will not commit suicide, but you're going to have to be the one who murders me.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, wait, yes, you will.
No, I won't.
Come on, you will.
No, I would never do that to you.
Really?
No.
Even if I was in extreme pain?
No.
Really?
I just couldn't do that.
Wow.
I couldn't bring myself to do that, even if somebody was in pain. I couldn't do it.
The other thing that was going through my mind?
What's that?
Last night, especially when I had the headache.
Yes.
So I threw on the movie, and it took like 20 minutes for the ibuprofen to kick in.
Right.
Right. And I'm thinking about Roger Ebert's tribute to Gene Siskel. Now they didn't really have it in the movie. They had like maybe an excerpt from it, but I actually read the full.
Are you saying about Gene Siskel's tribute, or is it Roger Ebert?
Roger Ebert's tribute to Gene Siskel. Uh-huh. He wrote a tribute to him after he died.
Oh.
That's on Roger Ebert's website, and I read it a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that it said in his tribute is, before Gene Siskel was diagnosed with brain cancer, he would start to have these massive headaches and get dizzy.
Wow.
And so of course, you know how I am.
Yeah, every time you hear about that, it's like, I'm freaking out.
It's like, oh, God, I don't want to go out with Gene Siskel. So I freaked out and think, well, that's going to suck. So, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta calm down a little bit.
But one thing's for sure, babes. If I do get diagnosed with MS, which hopefully I won't, we're going to have to get a lot more freaky in the time we have left together.
Bubs!
A lot more freaky.
Come on.
What?
Come on,
what?
Be silly here, Bubs.
I'm serious, babes.
No.
We're going to have to enjoy ourselves while I'm still here.
If you're getting me to do it just because you think you're sick,
But what if a doctor says you have MS? Then we're gonna have to get more freaky.
No, we're just gonna get married.
Why would we have to get married?
Because I'm not just gonna do stuff with you just because you're,
No threesomes.
Bubs!
No, we're not doing threesomes.
Do you want me to leave the womb?
That was a joke, babes. I might be dying. This is how I deal.
It's a bad.
Babes, I might be dying. This is how I deal with things.
Oh.
I might be dead in a year.
I don't believe that, Bubs. But well, I do think that when you do go to the doctor,
yeah.
If and when you go, especially if it's a general doctor, make sure you get a blood test.
Okay.
Get some blood work done so that you know what's going on. It could just be like it could be your thyroid. Sometimes.
Oh, God, we don't want to open that can of worms.
No, you know what I mean.
No, and it could have just, honestly, maybe it's just a weird reaction to the heat.
It could be, yeah.
I will tell you this, and I discussed this with you over the phone on Sunday, but it bears repeating here.
Right.
I was living in Colorado, as you know, and, of course, I moved there in September of 2006 after living in Hawaii. Yes. And that meant that it was their worst winter in like 25 years.
Oh, jeez.
Because why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Right?
Why not?
But I had a roommate who was from India, and
yes.
You already know this guy to this day is one of my closest friends.
Yes.
Like, we talked for 20 minutes earlier this week. I didn't bring this up. We just talked about other stuff. Yeah. And we talked for an hour and a half last week.
Right. Okay.
Right. So we're still super, super tight. And he might be coming out here in the fall. But anyways.
Okay.
He was my roommate. And because, he's from a warm climate and I am, he would just crank the heat up and I didn't have a problem with it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool, bro. So one day we're on the bus going to the training center and he's telling one of the teachers who would go there and pick up new students, he's like, oh, I just keep the heat cranked up because Rick doesn't have a problem with it.
Oh.
The guy turns to him and he says, that's a good way to get real sick because your body can go in shock from the extreme change in temperatures. Now, I'm very cynical.
Yeah.
And I know that this guy works for this training center that pays for the apartment. So my thought is he's telling us this because he wants us to save money on the electricity.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
Not because it's a true statement.
Not because it's a true statement, yeah.
Yeah, but I did think about that on Sunday.
He might actually be right about that, because it's not good to be in any extremes of the weather. It's not good to be in extreme cold, and it's not good to be in extreme heat, like in a second after you've been in cold or cooler, a cooler part of the house or something like that. It's just not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see what happens with that, but
yeah,
I don't want to become MS Rick, but if I do,
then yeah.
You're gonna have to put me down.
Oh, Bubs, come on.
In more way than one.
Stupid accent.
Oh, it is. I'm dying, babe, so come on.
You don't know that yet.
I don't know that, babes. Hopefully I'm not.
No, I mean, just monitor your symptoms.
Yeah, all that stuff. Anyways.
Anyway.
Getting
yeah.
off of that for a minute. We found out what caused the heat wave.
No,
it was not climate change.
Yes, it was Satan opening the gates of hell.
Well, so Donald Rumsfeld died the other day, and apparently Satan opened the gates of hell to welcome his little friend back. Oh, stop! At least that's what I posted on Facebook and told a lot of. Did
anybody respond and say,
no,
"Shut up"?
No. So I kind of said what you said, and then I also added "rotten pain war criminal," and nobody commented on it.
Wow. Well, maybe somebody will today.
Yes. I said, that's my basic comment. And that was plagiarized from something that somebody wrote to TYT yesterday. And Anna will sometimes read the viewer comments.
Yeah.
And she said, I think it read, the heat wave started because Satan opened up the gates of hell to welcome Donald Rumsfeld. And I changed the wording a little bit. And the person said R.I.P. war criminal. And so I replaced the R.I.P. with rotten pain war criminal.
Okay.
Yes.
Did she laugh at that, or was she kind of like...
No, she said that's a little bit too extreme, but he is a war criminal.
Yeah, I think it is extreme.
But he was a war criminal.
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, but don't you think that you're accusing people you don't like of being war criminals?
Well, babes, he got us into the Iraq War. He was one of the people behind that. Him, Dick Cheney, Colin Powell, George W. Bush.
Colin Powell.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't hear such great things about Colin Powell. I think he's another establishment congressperson.
Well, he was a military man.
Yes.
What I will say about Colin Powell is I think he's the only one from the Bush administration who has said that publicly that he regretted going into Iraq. Now, that does not make it right, but at least he's kind of owned up to his mistakes a little bit. What do you think about that? So I come over here, I tell you that, and then I tell you this story about how when Richard Nixon died, I just started roasting him. And one of my cousins was visiting, and my sister told me like an hour later that she went to the other room and cried because I was roasting Nixon so hard.
Oh, wow.
What do you think about it when I roast dead war criminals?
Well, I don't know. You have a sick sense of humor, so I guess it doesn't surprise me that you would do that, but I still think it's kind of insensitive.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, I know that we've talked about this earlier about, why don't people in funerals tell the absolute truth about somebody who died and, if they had any enemies. It's one thing if you don't know of any enemies that somebody had because they were actually, they weren't mean to people and they were trying to be nice to everyone they were around and they were trying to, live a good life. But it's like if you know a person is not good, I mean, I think that there's a way to tell the truth without, adding humor to it, because some people might think that you're, denigrating the dead.
And kind of my response to that is oftentimes people can take lessons better if you add humor to it. And some dead people don't deserve our respect, like Donald
Hitler.
Rumsfeld or Hitler.
Or Stalin.
Or Donald Rumsfeld.
Or Mussolini.
Yes. or Ronald Reagan?
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, babes. Stop. Babes. Babes. Stop. Stop.
Oh wait, I gotta do something. Hold on.
Oh, my nose.
No, I don't know. I think that humor can be somewhat subjective. Because not everybody's gonna like, people, not everyone thinks that all humor is great.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're roasting somebody at the expense of the family who has to live without this person, I think then you're going a little too overboard.
I'm going to say something controversial. I don't feel sorry for Donald Rumsfeld's family. They are not my thoughts and prayers tonight.
Well, you don't even pray, so.
No, but you know what I mean, babes. He was an evil man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of insensitive.
Really?
Yes, I do.
So, okay, you're not an Obama fan.
I'm not an Obama fan. I don't think he is a good politician at all. But I also have to think about, I may not think that he's a great person. In fact, I may even think he's evil. But I'm not going to... no, I'm not going to attend his funeral because, I'm just a lay person.
Yeah.
Why would I? I'm also not going to roast him in front of his family just out of respect for them because they're dealing with a lot of grief.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Barack Obama dies of natural causes, right?
Yes.
Maybe he had a heat thing like I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out we're both buddies in MS now or whatever. But let's say he passes away from natural causes. I'm still alive, and I come to your house, and I make some over-the-top joke about Barack Obama. How would you feel about that?
I honestly don't know. I may agree with you on it, but at the same time, your humor can get a little too much.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not everybody's gonna like your humor. It's all subjective. It can be subjective. It's not always objective.
I think that's one of the reasons too, babes. Like, I'm pretty far left, but I really hate...
I don't think you're that far left, honestly.
I think compared to most people I am. But I really hate the movement to cancel people for saying weird stuff on Twitter.
No, that I understand that. I don't think... Yeah.
Because I grew up watching comedians like Sam Kinison or George Carlin comment on the world and watching, movies like Clerks and Chasing Amy. And so I'm not a language person at all. I like rough language and I like things art that challenges the status quo. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I guess I would differ with you on conduct, but I don't think that censorship is necessary.
Yeah, by the way, it's also happening. YouTube is now starting to censor left-wing people now.
Well, YouTube has been censoring for a long time, and now they're censoring their own, which is not surprising.
Yeah.
And who are they censoring now?
There's this group called Right Wing Watch, and what they do... Oh,
yeah, I just heard about them the other day.
Yep. And I didn't even know about them, and I watched a lot of them.
I heard about them, and I don't like what they're doing either.
But you don't think they should be censored?
I don't think they should be censored only for the simple fact that it exposes the problem.
Yep.
And if you expose the problem, they can come up with a solution. Enough people will know about them so that they won't listen to them.
Well, and it's also, there's some gymnast who they wanted to take off the Olympic team.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because she turned her back on the flag.
Yeah, a lefty person, and it's it shows the hypocrisy, I don't think right-wing people should be censored, and I don't think that gymnasts should be censored, or YouTube channels. I mean, sort of calling for somebody's death.
Well, it's kind of
putting out a personal address, obviously.
Well, it's kind of like people have the right to state their opinion about the gymnast, just as much as people have the right to state their opinion about Right Wing Watch. Mm-hmm. But nobody should be canceled just because they have an opinion about something that you don't agree with.
Yeah, and people are saying we need to take that gymnast off the Olympic team. And it's like, well, that's not cool.
Yeah, but I do have a problem with that. Okay, I don't know that she should be off of the Olympic team. I don't know this person, but I find it really interesting that some leftists will make excuses for stupid things like that. Like, why would you, even if you don't like what's going on in the country, why would you turn your back on the flag?
Okay, can I make a counter argument?
No,
Here's my...
I wasn't even finished.
Oh, you finish and then I'll make a counter argument.
But I'm just saying, she has the right to do that. At the same time, I find it very frustrating that leftists will make excuses for her.
I'm not going to make it, well, hopefully I am a leftist. But here's my take.
I'm not saying that you do. I'm just saying
One, we're both on agreement that she should be on the team still.
I didn't necessarily say that.
Oh, really?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about this person. I don't know if she's done this more than once. It's one thing if she did this like one time and, maybe she should get some slack for it. I'm sorry. Maybe she should not get so much slack for it. But if she's done this more than once to grab people's attention, then there's something wrong there.
Oh, I don't care if she's done it every single time. Here's my take on it. She did the hard work to get on the Olympic team. And that's why she gets to go to the Olympics. Now, a lot of people in right-wing circles are saying, well, yeah, but she turned her back on the flag. Do we really want somebody like
to
that
represent our country?
To represent our country.
I'm in that boat, okay. But at the same time, she, as much as I don't like what she did, and I don't like what she did, I'm actually in that boat more, but I think, no.
Let me say something. Okay. One, do you want to be part of cancel culture? But even beyond that, beyond that. So let's take that. She's representing our country, and and we shouldn't have somebody who's going to turn on the flag when they're representing America.
Exactly.
One thing I would say to that is, well, there's a lot of people in this country who are frustrated with America. And should we just have the people who represent us who are happy with the way things are going? Or should we have a little bit more nuance to that and show that we're so big as a country, we can have somebody represent us who disagrees with a lot of what's going on in the country?
Yeah, but there's been a lot of this stuff going on, and that I don't think it's an excuse for her to be woke.
But if that's how she is, and that's how she is.
Well, then why doesn't she just leave the country? This is a question I've been asking for a long time. Those people that don't want to respect the flag, don't want to participate in what America stands for, why can't they just leave the country?
Because maybe they want to make it better. And the way you make something better is by staying here and working to change it.
But they don't want to make it better. They just want to get freebies. That's how I feel. They want to get freebies and they want people to follow them. And they think that because they have celeb status, that's how they can get people to follow them. And I think it's ridiculous.
So here's a question I have for you. Have you ever sat down with somebody who's further than the left than me and actually had a conversation with them? Like just one-on-one?
I have not gotten a chance to actually talk to someone that's far more left than you are, because sometimes there are leftists that won't listen, and you are one of the few that actually do listen. So, but And a lot of the people that would be more left than you would not listen.
So there are people who are far to the left of me that I think are ridiculous.
Yes.
Right. But at the same point, I do think you should hear somebody out. Even if you still think they're ridiculous, at least you have a better idea of where they come from than just saying, oh, they hate America. Well, maybe they don't hate America. Maybe they hate a lot of the fundamentals about America. But they want to make it better, and their methodology might be different than yours. But if you can start with, okay, we both want to make it better, and we both have different ways, but let's start with we both want to make it better, and then look for some common ground.
I'd like to talk to somebody about that, but the problem I have with this is that a lot of times these people want to complain more than they want things to be resolved.
And they might say that about somebody from the right as well.
I mean, on both sides, it's one thing if we both want things to be resolved, whoever I talk to, but it's another thing if a person's just complaining and they don't want to do anything about it.
And how much of that do you think is the media's perception? So if they constantly show you people who are saying the country is awful, we can never make up for it, this place is awful, versus showing you an intelligent, articulate leftist who has genuine grievances with the country, but wants to make it better. If they show you that articulate leftist more, then you're going to feel less divided from that person because you may find something that you can relate to with them. But if they show you the leftist who is going on and angry, then it keeps you divided and thinking, well, I can never trust any of these people.
Well, I will say that I think the mainstream media is notorious for making these kinds of stories divisive.
Oh yeah, I hate the mainstream media for the most part.
I think that they are doing us a very, very much a disservice, and they're not bringing the other side and actually bringing people that will actually have a civil conversation and dialogue and say, hey, we may not agree on all sides of the coin, but what can we do to help each other?
Yeah.
Because we need to help each other. It's not, you know what? I actually heard, my mom actually found a clip of Tupac.
I love Tupac.
I think he might have been 21 at the time. And he was actually talking about the races as far as race relations. And he actually said, it doesn't matter if this kid is white or black, but we have to help each other. We have to help each other be successful.
Yeah.
We can't just be divisive and say that, oh, well, I don't like you because of this. Or, why not just help people? And I thought, you know what? If people had an attitude like him, can you imagine how relations would be? I mean, whether it's race relations or class relations. I mean, because I heard it and I was very impressed, and I don't know when he did this. I think it was on YouTube because my mom found it.
Well, he was a very intelligent person. Like, I may have said this here before, but he said that when he would act up as a kid, his mom's punishment would be to make him read that day's issue of the New York Times front to back.
I think he told me about that.
Yeah, and I thought that's a really cool punishment because you're learning something as you're doing the punishment.
Right, and you're not just, it's not in vain.
And she would ask him random questions about it. So he wouldn't know what part of the paper she would ask him about. So he'd have to read the entire thing. But I think there's a lot of people who may not be on his level intelligence-wise, but do believe in that. But they get caught up in these little social circles or distracted by what their form of the media says.
Right. Or they're just plain immature and they don't want to have a conversation. And it's hard to deal with those people. And I'm willing to talk to anybody that may not agree with me, but will actually say, hey, why don't we find some common ground? We may not agree on a lot of political issues, but let's find some common ground. Let's talk about solutions and go from there. But don't dismiss, we shouldn't dismiss anybody else's, thoughts just because, they're different. And it's hard to find people to talk to you about this.
So I am a big Bernie Sanders fan, as you know.
Uh-huh.
And before COVID hit, there was a period of time where it looked like he was going to be the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. And then Joe Biden, along with Barack Obama and the other establishment Democrats, completely fucked him over. But before that happened, Bernie did town halls on Fox. Okay.
I know. I unfortunately had to, I unfortunately sat through a couple of them.
I'm sure they were great.
No, not really.
So one day I'm talking with a friend of mine who's a fellow lefty, and he's a great guy, but it's slightly to the left of me. Right? And he tells me about this, and he was not a Bernie supporter.
Yes.
But he says to me, well, don't you think it's horrible how Bernie is capitulating to the right by holding these town halls on Fox News? And I said, no, there's a way to compromise with people. There's a way to connect with people who are different than you. That's not the mainstream. I would much rather Bernie go on Fox News, make his case, and listen to people than him just go on CNN and then get into office and then do everything that the corporate donors tell him to do.
I will give him credit for this. He was actually brave enough. Now as much as I did not want to sit through it, and I also sat through a town hall with Pete Buttigieg. Butthead.
I don't like that guy.
Bootyhead. I don't know, something like that. I had to, Bootyhead.
That guy seems completely phony, but go on.
Yes, he is. I would agree. And, I think he was saying he was also saying that he was in the military. Or
he's an Obama wannabe. I don't know about his military stuff.
There was nothing, what's the word I'm looking for? There was nothing,
there's no substance behind
there's no quality behind what he said.
Yes.
And anyway, so I had to sit through that, but I was like, well, okay, if I'm going to make an educated decision about who is worth listening to, I at least have to give this a try, give this a chance, and listen to, what they have to say. But, Pete Buttigieg was just hard to get through.
But Bernie Sanders.
No, I had a hard time getting through that too.
Oh my goodness. But you wouldn't like any politician from the left.
Well, here's the thing, Bubs. There are people that have been lifelong Democrats, but there are people that are there are Democrats that are have actually criticized the left and said, this is something I don't like what they're doing. I don't like cancel culture. I don't like what's going on in these cities. I don't like the crime that's being, that's skyrocketing. And, and there are some people that are Democrats that are not so far to the left that are willing to kind of take things from both sides, or maybe the ones that are kind of more, in the middle.
So this is my take on that.
Okay.
And we disagree. And by the way, I have a lot of lefty friends who I also disagree with, who would agree more with you on this.
Oh.
I think the Democratic Party is conservative and wears the veneer of being the party of the left. But I think if you get down to it, they're way more conservative than people would like to believe.
I don't believe that. I'll tell you why. I think that today's Democratic Party, this isn't the Democratic Party that our parents that were in our parents' day. I think this Democratic Party has now become, I think now the Democratic Party has now become way far to the left, a lot farther to the left than what my parents were probably used to.
Okay.
Because my parents didn't come to this country until they were in their 20s.
Right. So here's what I would say. They're really good at making statements on social media about how things need to change. But when it comes time to vote for the people, they always find an excuse not to do something, right? So let's take Biden's infrastructure bill.
Uh-huh.
It was originally $1.7 trillion.
It's crazy money.
And some people say it needs to be higher.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but
I don't know.
It's now down to $500 billion.
Wow.
And one of the reasons he keeps giving is, I had to work with Republicans and, Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin weren't going to vote for this if we made it too high. And I keep thinking to myself, dude, you're the president. You could put some pressure on these politicians if you really wanted this bill. And maybe you wouldn't get the 1.7 trillion, but maybe you'd get $1 trillion. If you really wanted to, you could have gotten $2,000 stimulus checks passed, but you go for the $1,400. So I think they're really good at making these progressive statements in public, but they never really follow through on it.
I think in some ways he has followed through. I mean, he has already, in his 100 plus days in office now. I don't know how, or occupying the White House, I should say.
He was fairly elected. Yes.
Hold on. let me talk.
Go ahead.
Even though he has occupied the White House for 100 plus days, he already, I mean, why do you think that this crisis at the border is happening? Because he appointed Kamala Harris to be the czar. She hasn't actually been to the border. And if she even attempted to go to the border, it wasn't even about the border. And a lot of, even leftist media is actually on her and saying, why haven't you gone to the border yet?
Right, but this is where the regular media gets it wrong. So they'll say, okay, well, there's a crisis at the border. And what they won't tell you is, yes, Biden should do a better job at fixing it, but it didn't start with him. That's the part that they always leave out. They always make it seem like, well, once he entered the White House, things completely went to shit on this issue. Right? But they won't point out
it was going to anyway, because he wasn't going to, we already knew that he wasn't going to do what he said he was going to do.
But there was a lot of problems when Donald Trump was in the office. Look at those kids who were without their parents.
Well, first off,
over 500.
let me just educate you here, because the leftist media has, completely distorted the story. He was trying very, very hard to reunite these kids with their parents, and they had this narrative that these kids were in cages. The only, they were in cages, but under the Obama regime. So under the Obama administration, they were in cages. Now Trump, when Trump was in the White House, now they're saying that, oh, well, his administration put these kids in cages. It's all a political, it's all this, ridiculous political move to get him out of office.
Okay.
So I think that, if you're gonna blame somebody for this whole thing happening, I think you should look at the, administration before the Trump administration, because they were the ones that were causing all these problems.
I actually partially agree with you. Yes, Obama started. I don't know if he started the policy, but it was going on under his command.
And by the way, why? Do you remember when? Hold on.
Go ahead.
Do you remember when people like Chuck Schumer said that we cannot let illegals into our country?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not a real progressive. But here, so you're proving my point for me. So
No. I'm just saying that these people have flipped. These people have flip-flopped.
Because they're not real progressives.
I think they are. Because why would they say these things and then go back on it and completely be progressive? You know, the reason why I don't think Obama is conservative is because he campaigned and said that he was against gay marriage.
That's true.
But look what happened. He turned and said, nope, we are going to.
Okay, so we got a bunch of issues in the air, and I will address everyone. So, but let's start with the border thing. You are right. Here's the problem with that, though. Once Donald Trump becomes president, if he doesn't like a policy that was under the Obama administration, he should have reversed it.
Well, he was trying to reverse it. He was trying to get executive orders to reverse things. But as you know, a lot of ardent leftists in Congress and were trying to block what he was trying to do. So it wasn't that he couldn't do it. It's that they have tried so hard to block every single thing that he was going to do.
They didn't try that hard.
Yes, they did.
No.
Yes, they did. They tried very, very hard to, I mean, look at what happened with the wall. I mean, that was one of his promises that he was keeping. And then look, now President, I'm not even calling him the president. He's a fraud and grief.
Oh,
now the fraud and grief has, completely reversed a lot of his, orders.
The fraud and grief sounds like something you got off of talk radio.
No, I haven't gotten off of talk radio. He really is a fraud and grief.
So you make an interesting point about Obama flip-flopping.
I wasn't even finished.
I know, but you
I wasn't finished.
Okay, go ahead.
I wasn't finished.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
Let me throw out 12 more points, then you can...
No, Bubs, I'll let you say your piece, but
go ahead.
you said your piece
Go
a
ahead.
bunch of times already. But what I'm saying is that Biden just went reverse happy and just reversed every single thing, including the wall that was actually in progress of being built. And so now what's happened, there's a border crisis. There are illegals coming in that shouldn't be in there. I mean, all these crime wave is happening, and it seems like Joe Biden is watching this and isn't willing to get out of the basement and fix stuff.
Okay, so let me talk about a few different things. Obama did flip on gay marriage, but he was forced into it because he was running for re-election. And when you think about it, it's kind of weird that somebody, when they run the first time, is all about hope and change, yet they hate gay people. So what are they going to do when they run again? Well, they got to preserve this image as this progressive. So he kind of vaguely says that now it might be in favor of gay marriage.
I totally disagree. And I'll tell you why I disagree.
Go ahead.
Hillary Clinton did the same thing. She ran as a conservative to get more votes.
Yep.
And then when she became the Secretary of State, then all of a sudden she came out and became totally progressive. And the same thing with Obama. I think he said it just to get votes. And then and that's what the left does. They say things to get votes. And by the time that they're in office, whatever the position is, then they change and then their ideas come out.
My dear, you're kind of proving my point. They say progressive things to get votes, and then
No. They say conservative stuff to get votes, and then they turn progressive once they're in office. So now they're doing things in secret, and that isn't proving your point.
I think it's a reverse. I think they say progressive things, get into office, and then go conservative. So by the way, Joe Biden doesn't want to reverse the tax cuts on big corporations that Bush put through. I mean, not Bush, that your man Trump put through. He thinks that Trump's tax cuts on the rich are a good thing, and wants to tax middle and low class Americans.
But hold on a second, though. Hold on a second. I never heard in one speech about him taxing low or middle class Americans, and I don't think that taxing the rich is going to fix anything.
I think you should look at the 2017 tax bill, and you don't think that taxing the rich is going to change anything because you pay attention to media that's controlled by the rich. And they don't want you to think that.
Whatever.
Like, what? Yeah, tax the poor.
No. I never said that at all. I'm just saying that taxing the rich is not going to solve any problems. It isn't. And I just think that, that because the sources that you listen to are, some of them are only one-sided. You're only getting the leftist side of it. You're not getting the entire side that you wouldn't normally get.
It doesn't bother you. No, don't grab the recording device. It doesn't bother you that we live in a country where we believe in socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for everybody else.
Socialism for the rich?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, the rich get these big tax incentives. A lot of times they don't even pay money. Like Jeff Bezos is a big example of that. He gets tax refunds. Do you think that's right?
Well, I think Jeff Bezos is not a good man anyway.
I agree with you.
But I when it comes to every single rich person, I don't think that every rich person needs to be taxed.
Do you think it's right that both Democrats and Republicans have came together in 2008 to bail out corporations and to make sure that those executives of those corporations got their bonuses?
I never said I was in favor of bailouts. I think it's an easy way out.
I 100% agree.
I was never really in favor of bailouts.
I 100% agree with you, but that's what I mean.
But I'm just saying I don't think that it's as simple as that. I don't think that taxing the rich is as simple as that.
I think it would help. I
really don't think so.
I don't think it's the only solution, but I think it's part of it.
I don't think it's a solution at all.
Well, you know what else I think, babes?
No.
Well, you need a kiss. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you need a kiss. Yeah, you need a kiss.
No.
Yeah, you do.
No.
Yeah, no, babe.
Why?
Because you do. Oh, what ifs, babes? What ifs?
All right, can we talk about something else? I think we pretty much exhausted this.
That was a good political discussion. Jaylo.
Okay.
You would agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, babes.
No, I don't want to. No.
No. When are we going to do our next news exchange?
I don't know.
Because I want to do it.
I know.
Yeah, you're like, no, okay, no.
Well, I'll think about it, Bubs.
Okay. Well, good, babes, good.
Oh, good.
Is there anything you want to talk about?
Well, what are we going to make tonight?
We are going to redo the rigatone recipe.
Rigatone?
Rigatone. But this time, we're going to add some cream of mushroom soup.
Some chicken.
And broccoli to the mix.
And broccoli.
I think it's going to be pretty good, babes.
Oh, yeah. I think cream of mushroom soup it would give it a really good flavor.
Yeah.
And we're also going to put cheeses in there.
Yeah, that's what we did last time.
Yes.
Yes. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't believe it's July 4th weekend and I'm not going to be at the Blues Festival this year. Again.
Oh, my. I mean, I understand, but there is always next year.
I know. I don't want to wait another year, though.
And you will get to hear music. You just won't be there in person.
Yeah, I wanted to take you to see Mark Burchard and Samantha Fish.
I understand. Maybe they'll come next year. I hope they do.
I hope they do.
I understand. I get it.
Well, Samantha Fish has a husband, so I hope at least he comes. Oh. That's a joke, babes.
You're not scoring very high on your jokes today, Bubs.
I think what it is there's a problem with my audience.
No, I think it's you.
Oh, idiots. Babes.
I didn't know she had a husband.
I don't know if they're still married, but I saw an interview with her a couple years ago, and I'm pretty sure she said she was married.
Okay.
Yes. I could be me remembering that incorrectly, but I think that's the case.
Okay.
Oregon is starting to really reopen now. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's about time.
Yes.
It's about time. I think a year and a half is more than enough time to wait.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
We can start to get back to normal. Oh, I remembered what I wanted to talk to you about.
What's that?
So you remember last week I was going through this crisis about how community and I show up for people and it feels like they never show up back and all that.
Yeah, we've talked. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I think I had a realization the other day that kind of helped me.
Like an epiphany?
Yes. I wasn't doing morning pages because I was going through some dizzy spells, as we've already discussed.
Right.
But I did have this realization in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And it's this. Showing up is important, but, and this is going to sound counterproductive, so it's going to require a bit of an explanation. I actually need to show up less than I've been doing. So here's what I mean by that, because that could be taken a lot of different ways, and I don't want it to be taken as I don't show up at all.
Right.
Oftentimes what I'll do is if I discuss a project with somebody,
mm-hmm.
and it seems like we're both really enthusiastic, they'll say, okay, Rick, check back with me in like a week or two.
Yes.
And I'll do it, and they'll say, all right, check back with me in another week or two. And this process will go on for months sometimes.
Yeah.
Or we'll have a meeting, we'll discuss things, and we'll say, okay, this is my homework, this is your homework, I'll do the homework, and then I'll have to hand them to do the homework for a long time until they just eventually like check out on the project.
Right.
And, obviously I've been thinking this is very stressful. And it feels like I'm going nowhere because people check out on me so much. Uh-huh. So the realization I have, it's not that I don't show up, but I invoke the 3 strikes rule. So for example, if somebody says to me, and no one has said this to me recently, right? I just want to clarify this, but if somebody says, Rick, I really want to start a band with you. Mm-hmm. I'll say, okay, well, let's talk about this. Mm-hmm. When are we going to check in on this?
Yeah.
And the person says a week from today.
Right.
Call them once. They say this isn't a good time. Call them again. They say this isn't a good time. Mm-hmm. Call them a third time. Mm-hmm. On the third time, if they're still kind of spacey, my response should be to them, okay, when you're ready, I want you to call me. So that way I'm not always just putting
Yeah.
it off another week, keep planning and keep planning.
I think it's a good idea. Or if they say, hey, I don't think it's going to work, at least you know that they've been thinking about this.
Yeah. But oftentimes it's like, I get I don't think it's going to work after 3 or 4 months. Of pursuing something.
That's what I should have done in college, because people were coming up to me, maybe 2 or 3 at the most, and said, hey, I want to study with you. I want to take lessons from you. And they just didn't follow up. And now I think about it, I'm like, I should have said, hey, check in with me in the next week.
Yeah.
Because some people can say things like, oh yeah, I totally want to, I totally want to take a lesson from you or lessons from you. And I want to know I want to see how that turns out, but then they never follow up.
Yeah. And I always try to follow up with creative things. So I'm still following up, but I put a limit on how many times I follow up. And then I put it back on their court and I say, okay, well, I might forget to, I say, okay, when you're ready, contact me. If they say a date, I say, I might forget, so why don't you call me on that date? So now it's really on them. Right.
But what really irritated me though, and, there was this guy that I gave a lesson to.
Ooh.
Bubs.
Go ahead.
Would you stop?
Go ahead.
This is not an X-rated story.
No, it's not. I'm just saying. You assumed it was related to that.
No.
Go ahead.
Anyway, and he would come and he would say hi to me, and he would always refer to himself as my student. And I'm thinking, when was the last time you followed up with me? You only had one, and I never told him this, but I should have said, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I want to know what's going on. I think, and this was like around the time that I was getting ready to graduate. Yeah. And, and things were busy for me too, because I was doing projects that were piling up and papers, and, I had to do my last papers, for school before I graduated. And I just wish I would have followed up and say, hey, let me know when you're ready, because, I'm going to be busy and I really want to make sure that I have time for you. Just let me know. And I should have done that more.
Yeah. So it's kind of feeling like we have 2 different lessons. You should follow up a little bit more and I should follow up a little bit less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because then I hold them accountable by, having them do the work and say, hey, let me know how you're feeling about this in another week.
I also had another realization along these lines, but it's just slightly different, but they're related. Right. So you've seen me in situations to where I'll say to somebody, we should really get together. And they'll say, yeah, that's a great idea. And then I follow up with them and I don't hear anything back.
Oh, yeah. I can actually name 2 people that you told me about, and I'm not going to.
Right.
Yes.
And I was thinking to myself, I hate that. Why do people keep saying that to me? And then it hit me the other day. Like sometimes I'll jokingly say to my friends or to you, oh, there's going to be a lottery and wouldn't it be nice if I won? That would be great. The way I talk about the lottery is the way people talk to me sometimes about wanting to get together.
So basically, fat chance of it ever happening, right?
Yeah, when they say, oh, it would be nice if they get together. It's like when I say to you, oh, babes, it would be nice if I won the lottery today.
And I said, it's not, the chances of that ever happening is very, very slim.
Especially since I don't buy lottery tickets.
Right, exactly. Right. Except you're not doing the work and buying lotto tickets.
Yeah, so it's like, yes, it would be nice if I won the lottery today. And if I really think that that's a possibility, maybe I should go out of my way and actually buy a ticket. So it's like that with them. It's like, yeah, it would be nice, but it's not, it would be nice, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. So
it's kind of like if a guy, here's a scenario. Okay. It's kind of like if a guy and a girl are friends and the girl keeps saying, hey, we should totally hang out. But he notices, oh, wait a minute. She has backed out on me more than once. Yeah. Well, and then he goes he's thinking, hey, why don't I do the same thing and say, hey, we should totally get together. And then I'm in my apartment. I dress up in my sweats and a t-shirt and I just have in my sweats and a t-shirt, and I just act like I'm at home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, yeah, we should totally hang out, but we're not going to. So here's the realization that I had, because that's part of it.
Yes.
And on top of that, it's like, okay, maybe I should do the 3 strikes and you're out rule with them.
Yes.
So reach out to them a couple of times. And if they're unresponsive, then realize the next time we hang out in public and they say we should really hang out, all I have to do is say, yes, we should. We should definitely hang out next week, with the realization of, yeah, it would be nice. Just like it would be nice if I won the lottery.
Uh-huh.
But this isn't something that I need to follow up on anymore.
Right.
Let them follow up if we
Yeah. And then, you don't get ready.
Mm-hmm.
You sit in your house and, you kind of, wait for the time to pass by, and they call you. It's like, hey, what happened? I thought we were going to hang out. It's like, well, I mean, I didn't think you're taking it so seriously.
No. But you're getting it a little bit wrong.
No.
It leaves it in their court to contact me if they really want to hang out.
That's what I mean. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because
not that I'm going to say plan a date and then just not show up.
No. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, in some ways I might be, in some ways, I mean, you could potentially say, hey, we should do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, see what happens, and you don't prepare, but see what they do.
Yes.
Not that you want to be malicious, but you want to, you want to give them something to think about.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it would be nice if we hung out. Anyways, gonna go do something else. If you want to call me, you can.
If you want to call me, then let me know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And maybe I could even have a stock line after I get blown off a few times. Like I say, it would be nice if I called out, if we hung out. I'm really busy. Why don't you reach out to me when you have some free time?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it keeps a line open,
Mm-hmm.
a line of communication open, and you're not always the one that's following up with this person. I think that's a good idea.
I think the one thing that's sort of coming out of COVID, which is another good thing, is I'm gonna be a little bit more of a tight ass where it's important to be, with things like I just mentioned, like artistic collaboration, just hanging out with friends. Like it doesn't all have to be on me. I don't have to play the martyr every time something doesn't work out.
Well,
I can just do.
Yeah.
I can make the effort, but I don't have to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
When I get the sense that somebody else isn't going to.
Right. Exactly. And I think that that makes it so that you're not walked on all the time.
Yeah, but I'm still showing up to some extent.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I mean, I remember I told you about that collaboration that I was asked to do, because I told you that I met this cab driver, which I can't remember what his name is.
Talked about it here many times.
Did I?
Yes.
I think it was more than once, right?
Several times.
It wasn't several times. It was like a couple of times. Or maybe once. Anyway.
Let's keep going.
So it's kind of like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I should have said was, hey, I'm glad I said, hey, can you please email me the track? If you can, give me a copy of the track. I can see what I can do with, do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want to go in there and not know what I'm doing. And what I also should have said was, hey, could you please let me know, because, as soon as you want me to come in, because I am going to be busy. and I told him that, I said, I got projects. Things are going to be crazy because I'm going to be graduating and so on and so forth. But I should have said, hey, contact me in another week.
What I would have done, I would have said, okay, give me your contact information, and then I would have emailed them in a week.
Yes.
But that's me.
Okay. I could have done that too.
Yes. And then you could have been the flute princess of the West.
Okay.
I don't know.
Your flute princess of the... That would be an interesting title.
Yes. Alana, the flute princess of the West.
Okay.
Yes, you will.
That sounds kind of, almost exotic.
Thank you.
Sort of.
Alana.
Mm-hmm.
We've established that I'm diseased and dying, and that started this week. But what's been going on in your world?
No, but you're coming up with that
narrative
idea without even knowing what's going on here. So.
While I've been slowly dying,
you're not slowly dying. No.
Okay.
We don't know what's going on yet, so you can't really make any conclusions.
Okay.
It's possible you're not.
It's possible.
I am close to finishing my mythology book.
Nice.
And some of these mythology these myths have been ending either ending very sadly or they overlap with each other. And it's kind of interesting. Jason and the Golden Fleece.
That sounds like a name of like a kid's cartoon from the 80s.
No, it's not. It's about a myth about this boy named Jason who was I forgot who was his uncle, but he almost got killed. He almost got killed. His mother was killed so that she wouldn't have any more children. He almost got killed. Someone, I forgot, I think an oracle told his uncle, you have to watch out for a man with one sandal. And it happened to be Jason, who was his nephew. He wanted him to get him the Golden Fleece. I forgot why that was. It was like a thing that he wanted. And, my point being that there is a character in the story named Medea. And I forgot what her father's name. Some of these names are like really hard to remember because they're Greek names. And or Roman names. But anyway, so Medea was married to Jason. And she got in trouble for something. I forgot what it was. And she thought that Jason was going to be with her for the rest of his life. And that didn't happen because she ended up being a criminal and had to, he had to marry somebody else. Well, she ends up marrying King Aegeus, who was talked about in the later or the earlier myths. It's kind of like they overlap with each other.
Very cool.
Yes.
I listened to Quentin Tarantino talking to Joe Rogan this week. And he was kind of throwing some shade on the image of Bruce Lee.
Okay.
He talked about this book that a man named Matthew Pauly wrote. So I went onto Bard. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, not Bard, on a Bookshare, and I found the book. So I might be starting that tonight after you go to bed.
Okay.
Yes.
Who's Matthew Pauly?
He's a writer.
I think I may have... wasn't there somebody named Matthew Pollock? Or was that him?
That's not him. That's somebody else.
Okay.
Yes.
Something Pollock. Anyway. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to starting that book, babes.
Wow.
And I'm reading listening to the Star Trek, the first 50 years, an uncensored history. And it's like different quotes from people about Star Trek.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm on the part about Voyager.
Wow.
So I've made it good ways through.
Do they talk about Deep Space Nine?
Yes, they do. They go into a good detail about Deep Space Nine.
What happened with that one, if you can say?
Well, so Ira Steven Behr was the showrunner for DS9, and he used to work on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Mm-hmm. I believe he left after season 3, and Rick Berman, who was running the franchise, along with Michael Piller, I think it was more Michael Piller's choice to bring in Ira Steven Behr for DS9, and Michael Piller told Ira that if you come here and stay here, after the first 2 seasons, I'm going to leave and I'm going to let you take over. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happened. And the writing staff kind of changed throughout the years, but Ira Steven Behr was the main guy who was there from the beginning of DS9 to the end of it. And he said that there was a lot of battles over the creative direction of the show. But after season 2, he was kind of allowed to make the show a little bit more serialized because people were paying less attention to it. At that point, when they go into season 3, The Next Generation had ended, and the first movie with the TNG cast was about to come out. And Voyager was about to launch UPN. So DS9 kind of got lost in the mix. people were paying less attention to it. And he said that because of that, they felt like they were able to take more risks because the studio was just focused on other aspects of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually a good thing. Because you got to remember, when DS9 first came out, there were really high expectations for the show. Like, I think the set alone for the series cost like $15 million.
Whoa.
I might be getting that number wrong, but it was a huge set.
Wow.
And then the show comes out, and it's not a rating success.
Wow.
In the same way that TNG was. But it was still kind of popular. So they didn't cancel it. They just stopped focusing any attention on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's kind of what happened with that. And he talked about the casting. Did you know, babes, that the guy who played Rom almost got cast as Quark?
Are you serious?
Yes. They were very close. And I think it was between him and Armin Shimmerman. I can't remember the actor's name right now.
Well, he
Max
did
something.
he did a really good job as Rom, though.
He was great as Rom.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, what were some other odd facts about DS9?
What about, Eric Eisenberg, who played Nog?
They didn't really talk about him.
Really?
They talked about, Sirach Lofton a little bit.
Oh.
And Avery Brooks. They were saying that Avery Brooks got along with half of the cast, and the other cast didn't really like him. So they said he got along really well with Sirach, with Nana Visitor, and with Colm Meaney, who played Chief O'Brien.
Oh, okay.
So, and this is something I found interesting.
Yes.
You know how there's not a whole lot of O'Brien episodes in the series?
Yes.
One of the reasons behind that is Colm Meaney kept getting cast in movies,
really?
These independent films. So that's why in a lot of episodes, he's just kind of there for one or two scenes.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was kind of there as the chief.
He has a couple of episodes.
Yes.
But not very many if you look at the series.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of episodes with him and his family.
Yeah, and they said that one of the reasons for the great supporting cast, too, and for the reason it's serialized, is because it's based on a space station, so they couldn't really go anywhere, and characters had to keep coming to them. So it's unlike like TNG or the original show, where they would just come into a place for a week and then go on to the next place. Because they were stuck in a central location, they had to deal with the same characters over and over again. And that's kind of what led itself to like actually giving more life to these characters.
So you're able to get an in-depth look at them.
Yeah, because you're not moving on the next week to a whole new group of characters outside of the main cast.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. It's an interesting book. Yeah.
Well, I figured that he got along with Sirach. I mean, they really did have good chemistry on screen.
Yeah, and Sirach talked about him in the movie or the documentary What They Left Behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they talk about the ending of the last episode?
Yeah, they did. So apparently it's a little bit tricky, but what I've gathered is that they never wanted to kill Sisko. So what they were saying in the book was they wanted to make him a prophet.
Yes.
But Sisko thought
a real prophet.
Yeah, a real prophet. But Sisko thought it would be wrong to just leave because Cassidy H was pregnant and it would be seen as a black man abandoning his child. So their compromise was
interesting.
That we'd just say that he'd hang out with the prophets, but eventually would come back.
Oh, okay.
But apparently they never wanted to kill him off.
I don't think she should have been pregnant.
I think that was a stupid idea. They didn't address it in the book.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, well,
it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, like when is my husband coming back and I'm having this baby?
Yeah.
You know.
I love Sisko, but they really should have killed him in the last episode. I think.
I don't know if they should have killed him. I just don't think she should have been pregnant. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because, it's not, you don't have to wonder, well, when is this guy coming back? Is he just on a mission?
And you hardly ever hear about DS9 in any of the other series. So there's no follow-up to it. It's just this open-ended question.
Yeah.
It doesn't really wrap up the character.
But I'm glad that he thought, because, that's the epidemic of fatherlessness has really plagued a lot of communities. And especially the black community. So I can understand why he wouldn't want to make it sound like, oh, I'm leaving my child.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
But meanwhile, now we think, well, this child is raised without a kid because it's been like 20 years.
Did you say? Did you realize what you just said?
What did I say?
This child is raised without a kid.
Oh, did I say that? Damn it. Okay.
You're so funny,
I'm
Bob.
glad you saw. Children don't need kids to raise.
Well, kids are baby goats too.
Yes. Yeah. His child didn't have a baby goat to help raise him. No. But the child was raised without a dad because it's been like 20-something years since DS9 went off the air.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So we don't know if he came back. It's they wanted to imply that he came back, but we don't know that. And what did they say about Odo leaving?
They didn't say anything about him leaving, but one thing that they said that was very interesting is when they started the series, the intention was that Odo would never find out who his people were. And then they got into it, and a writer during, I think, the second season said, well, wouldn't it be really cool if Odo finds out who his people are and they go to war with the Federation? So it's like he's still the outsider. And they had to present the idea to Rene, I think I know how to pronounce his last name now, Rene Auberjonois. Because not only was he the actor, he played Odo, but he had also done several interviews where he said we're never going to get that character resolved.
Wow.
And I like the way that I think that could have worked, but I like the way they did it though.
Right, because Odo was already complex, right?
Yeah. And it made him more complex to he's at war with his own people.
I really like when Quark was like, "Hey Odo, aren't you going to say goodbye to me?" No.
Yeah. I thought that was great.
It just really shows that they really are good friends in real life.
Yeah.
They knew how to act together.
Yeah. Yes.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good book. It's a really good book, especially. I mean, obviously, DS9 is my favorite Star Trek show. But
I thought it was something else. I thought it was like TNG and.
Oh no, DS9's my favorite.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But what?
No, I just thought maybe you were more partial to TNG and the original series.
No, when I was growing up, I was more. But when I revisited DS9 a couple of years ago, I realized how brilliant it was. And what I was about to say was, even though DS9 is my favorite Star Trek show, I love the original series and the Next Generation, and it goes into details about both of those shows too.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Yes. So it's a good book.
Yay!
And it also really talks about the movies.
Okay.
Which are fascinating.
Okay.
Because Star Trek is very hit and miss with the movies.
Right.
There's some of the movies that I love, and some of the movies where I'm like, I never want to see that piece of shit again. And they go into the trilogy that they did, which was good. Because the Star Trek trilogy is often overlooked when they talk about great movie trilogies, which you haven't seen. It's kind of weird because it's the second, third, and fourth movie, not the first through the third. So it's Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and The Voyage Home. And which is really interesting because Leonard Nimoy, who plays Spock, directed The Search for Spock and The Voyage Home. And then William Shatner, did the follow-up movie, The Final Frontier, which is really bad. He directed The Final Frontier, yeah.
Okay. He directed it.
Yes. By the way, a little bit of interesting trivia. We may have said this before, but I don't know if we have. So Terry Farrell, who played Jadzia Dax, do you know who her husband is?
Will Ferrell?
No.
Who?
Adam Nimoy, who is the son of Leonard Nimoy.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And Adam Nimoy directed a couple episodes of TNG.
Interesting.
Yeah, he directed, I think the one he's best well known for is the episode Rascals, which is pretty good.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty fun episode.
What is that one about?
There's a transporter accident. So, the captain and a couple other members of the crew are turned into 10-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
And that's it's weird. I don't like humor on DS9 too much, but I like it on TNG and the original series.
I think the Ferengis really, I don't know, I just think they're a funny bunch.
I do too, but I think it needs to be controlled a little bit more. They let it get a little bit too off the rails in DS9.
But your humor shouldn't be controlled?
Well, no, babes, I'm different, but yeah. That's my feeling.
Well, why would you want to control their humor?
I think DS9 works better as a drama. It can have a little bit of humor, but when they do whole episodes that are meant to be funny, it becomes a little bit too overkill for me.
Yeah, but sometimes you want to, I want to break from the drama. I don't always want to see drama all the time.
Yeah, a quick joke here or there is fine, but don't do it too much. And I think that sometimes on DS9, they're guilty of overdoing it. There's definitely complaints I have about DS9, and that's one of them.
Oh.
Yes. But having said that, it is a great show.
That is true.
Babes.
Yes.
You wanted to see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
And there was a slight problem with that. We should address that. I was completely willing to watch it with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I go online the other day, and I remember that Sergio Leone directed it. And I think the movies were made over in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, is this technically a foreign film? But I go to Wikipedia, and it says languages, English, Spanish, and Italian. Mm-hmm. And being a blind guy, I'm not really cool with that.
Yeah.
So I reached out to you, and I said, hey, we might need to pick a different movie. As a result, I was unable to find it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And then get my headache, take my ibuprofen.
Yeah.
We watch Rear Window, not you and me, but me and some friends. And afterwards we do a little discussion.
Yes.
And you come up, I say, I was going to show Alana The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And my friend immediately says, that's a great movie. And I said, yeah, I'm not going to watch it with her this weekend because I found out that it's in 3 different languages.
And then what did they say?
Only one of my friends had seen the movie, and it's the same one who recommended The Man from Earth.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Okay.
He said, that's a little bit not true. He says, yeah, it's technically in 3 languages, but what they're really saying is it's dubbed in 3 languages. Because he saw it completely in English.
Yeah, because it is, I've heard people talk about The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I'm like, well,
Yeah, he says it's a great movie. He says, I understand why it says that, but he says that's actually not exactly the case. Mm-hmm. And so you can find an English version of it. So stop talking to them, reach out to you, and I say, okay, if you can, it's going to be kind of late for me to get it off of where I get my movies from. Mm-hmm. But if you can get a copy of it, we'll watch it. But you had trouble finding the descriptive version.
Right.
So our replacement film is actually going to be a film that the guy who corrected me on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's a movie that he showed me or told me to watch.
Okay.
And that's called True Romance. But we're watching that tomorrow.
And you said that that was a movie that you really liked.
I love True Romance.
And he liked it too.
Oh, it's one of his favorite movies.
Okay.
Yes, and I don't know if I'd say it's top 5 for me, but it's really good.
Okay.
It's really good. Now, there's a little bit of violence, and there is a scene that's a little bit cringeworthy where a white guy uses the N-word. And it's Dennis Hopper who does it. But
before he died, yes.
Yes. If you can get past those 2 things, it is an amazing movie.
Oh. He only says it once, right?
He says it a few times in the scene.
Uh-oh.
Yes. But it's one scene.
Well, where was this based in? What year was this based in?
Came out in 94, and I think it's based around the same time.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You will know the scene, and anybody who's seen the movie knows the scene I'm talking about. You'll know it when you see it. But it's one scene. It's with him, Christopher Walken, and a few other people who are lesser known. But the movie itself is amazing. And I can't wait to show it to you tomorrow night.
Oh, goodness.
When we'll be watching that and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. But tonight...
Yes.
Jaylo.
Yeah.
You've never seen Rain Man.
I don't remember if I did. I don't remember seeing it because there's so many movies that have come out when I was much younger that I didn't see and I didn't know about. So It's possible I did not see it, and I don't think I have. But I heard really good things about it, and I also heard that Dustin Hoffman was really good in it.
He's good. I've seen it before.
Yes.
It's a good movie. We're going to be watching that. And another movie I was surprised that you hadn't seen. I was shocked, my dear. Say Anything.
I've heard about this movie so many times, but never saw it. But I also heard about the famous boombox scene.
That's a good scene, but that's just one part of it.
Well, I mean, a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah, that's the most iconic scene. But even if you were to cut that out of the movie, it's still really good and worth seeing, I think.
Yes.
And it's a little bit more dramatic than people say it is. Mm-hmm. Especially with Ione Skye's relationship with her dad, who is played by John Mahoney. But it's a good movie. It's a solid movie. I'm excited to watch it with you. I haven't seen it, babes, since 1999.
That's a long time.
Yes. So I used to be involved in this film discussion group, and we would meet
at your school?
No, this is an outside activity. Okay. So there was a film cable access show I used to watch.
Oh yeah.
And we're not going to get into it too much.
I remember that. You told me about that, yes.
Called Film Fever, that aired back in the 1990s on local television. And one of the things that they did was they said, okay, we're going to start meeting the people who watch this show at Borders Books. Yeah. And each month we're going to watch a different movie and discuss the characters.
Right.
So sometimes I'd go there with my mom. Sometimes I'd go there with a friend of mine. Occasionally I'd go there by myself. I think this time I went with a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. I think so. And this was right when I started dating this very attractive, good and bad, but crazy girl. Okay, stop. I said the crazy girl.
You always mention her. Seriously.
Okay, but this is relevant to the story.
You know, well, you could have just said...
This is relevant to the story.
You could have just said you're dating that woman.
Let me tell the story. And I go with my friend, and we watch Say Anything. Now, I'd seen the movie before, but I think I was in middle school.
Was that a part of the discussion group?
Yes, this was a movie we were watching for the month. And when I watched it again at Borders Books in Beaverton, I related to it on a whole nother level. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting how movies can change depending on the point that you watch them in your life. So I'm really curious to see if it still resonates with me today, because I really got a kick out of it the second time.
Oh, wow.
I felt like it was a speaking my language. And I'm wondering if it'll hold up tonight.
When did that movie come out?
I'm guessing 87.
Yeah, because I thought that it was in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So that's what we're going to be doing, okay?
And I think by then Ione Skye, I think, was still a teenager.
Well, good.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Babes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
It was a little... So, I was waiting outside for you this morning.
Yeah.
And it seemed a little bit dewy.
Dewy.
What
about Huey and Louie?
No Huey and Louie, but it seemed a little bit dewy.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like there was some moistness in the air, a little bit of precipitation, and I'm like, I hope it's not going to rain, but I don't think it is. Because it's supposed to get warmer today. Not as warm as Monday, because that was pretty hot.
No.
Yeah, I was thankful that I stayed here all day. And I was glad that my AC kept my apartment very, very cool.
Yeah, it was so bad on Monday that they shut down the light rail and the free streetcar, and not the free streetcar, and the streetcar.
Didn't you say that some of the cables have melted, and they probably have to get different cables, more cables?
Yeah, I don't think that's too hard of a job, but they probably had to do some repairs. But on TYT, they were saying that they were showing pictures of some cables that melted. Wow. Yeah.
And I know that they had to shut down the Max. It was like the Max wasn't running.
I just said that.
No, you said you're talking about the streetcars.
I said the streetcar, but before that I said the light rail, which is also the Max.
Okay, but anyway, point being is that things were shut down.
Yes. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you got outside this morning.
Well, I did. I mean, how else was I going to let you in?
I don't know.
Well, you could have called me on the call box.
I'm not going to do that, babes. I love you too much.
What?
I want to see you when I get here, Jaylo.
I know when I buzz you in.
Yes. But I got to see you in person this morning.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, it's true.
Yes.
You're in person with me right now.
Oh, good. Good. Yes. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, I don't think so.
Did you have any dreams?
I did not. Although I think I may have mentioned it. No, I think I did. Never mind. It was the Israel dream, but that was last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did.
Okay. So no.
Well, babes.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the smell of menthol.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Yes.
And I look forward to spending some time with you. Before we wrap this up, can I have a kiss?
Oh, okay.
Babes. All right, I love you, babes.
I love you too.
Unless there's anything you have to say. Anything else?
Oh, Anything Else is also a good movie. But we've talked about that before.
We have, but is there anything else you want to say?
No.
All right.
I don't think so.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.